So we're thinking about the issue of contentedly living our lives for God, living our lives with contentment and the power that there is in contentment in the situation that we're in. We've been going through in the Bible together. We've been looking at the book of 1 Corinthians, and we were reading chapter 7. And this book was written by Paul to the Christians who were living in this ancient Greek city, and he's encouraging them here to live their lives embracing the situations they're in and the opportunities that are there, and not just wishing them away. Chapter 7 starts off by saying, regarding the questions you asked in your letter, because one of the things this letter is doing, among other things, is dealing with questions that they have written to him. And so this chapter has a whole load of issues going on in it. It talks about marriage, it talks about sex, it talks about singleness, it talks about widowhood, it talks about divorce, somebody separating. It's got all kinds of things going on, touches on slavery even. There's all kinds of things in this chapter. And yes, there's a lot of detail, and yes, it's worth looking at the detail because there's some important instructions in there. But the big picture that holds it all together, the overarching thing, is one of contentment, because what it seems the situation seems to be that people who are married were wishing they weren't and saying, maybe I could live better for God if I wasn't married. And some people who are single are constantly wishing that they were married and almost putting their lives on pause because they think then I'd be happy and then I'd be able to live out my life. And then there's others who are widowed. There's others who are married to somebody who isn't a believer and they're not sure what to do about that. And the other person wants to leave, or should they leave them? And there's all kinds of ways in which people are thinking, if only this, then I'd be able to live for God. And one of the things he's basically trying to say to them is, no, actually, we need to learn the power of contented Christian living. Not that you don't ever want to change anything, and that isn't what this means, because even at one point in the middle he says, if you can change your situation, do it. If you can. But we all know at various points in our lives how we can be in a situation where we're almost paralyzed by the desire for life to be different, and we don't want to, we feel that our life can't really move on until X or Y. Now, I understand in some situations that is a very real feeling, and there are very serious situations that some of us face. But still, even in those situations, it is possible with God's help to be able to get up each day and say, this is the day God has given me. This is the situation I am in. These are the people that I am amongst. I will serve him today in this situation, and not fall into the trap of wishing our lives away in such a way that we fail to live in the present, that we miss the time that is passing as we wait and wish for other things. Now, there's lots of detail in here too, and helpful instructions about husbands and wives giving themselves to one another, and actually some fairly radical stuff there in terms of the rights that he recognized for women in marriage too, not just men. It was unprecedented in that time. People didn't write like this. He talks about singleness in a very positive way that people don't always think about. We sometimes think that being single is just a holding bay waiting till you're married. And he's saying, hey, singleness is great. There's lots of good things about it. It's not for everybody. And it may be that you want to change your situation and you have the opportunity to do so. Great, do it. But still the principle is there. Let's not wish our lives away thinking that we'd serve God better and we'd be happier living for him if this, if that, if the other. Embrace the situation you're in. Live for God today in his strength with the power that he gives you. There is a very real strength to that. And when we learn it, when we learn what it means to be contentedly trusting God, we will see him working through us in lots and lots of different ways. So let's live it out. That's the message for today.